Good to have your company here on The Form. We're going to have a look at Saturday's Cambridge Breeders' Stakes at Group 3, a really competitive race for the 3-year-olds, and it's been enhanced by a bit of South Island participation as well. The triumph comes up from the Riccarton stables of Andrew Carston, who joins us now. Andrew, first of all, how's she travelled?
Yeah, look, I'm with her, Aidan, and I'm really happy with how she's travelled.
Okay, good. Yeah, where do you stay in the north?
So I've spent 2 days at Palmerston North and Fletcher, and we've just come up to going up to Cambridge on Friday, to RAPA on Friday. Okay,
good as gold. And she's in the condition that you want her ahead of this race?
Yeah, look, really happy with her. She's nice to out on the course proper on Saturday before we get home, and she's had another little out at Palmerston North on this morning. So I'm really happy with how she's travelled.
Okay, we've seen her in one trial in the lead up to this, and it was a beauty too. Just tell us, what did you make of the effort?
Yeah, look, really good. Obviously, it's her only public outing since I had her back in network, but yeah, hit the line nicely. Had a nice blow after the race, and Kylie was really happy with how she felt. So I'm really happy going forward.
Okay, we saw her in terrific form as well in the spring, winning races like the Canterbury Bell Stakes and beating home horses such as I Wish I Win and Company in the Barneswood Farm. Is she in the same sort of condition, or can you tell us that she may have even improved from there?
I'd like to say she's improved, but look, she's a hard filly to get a line on. She doesn't do a hell of a lot to excite me at home, but she had really good turn of foot, and I think we saw that at the trials without under any pressure. She had a turn of foot and picked them up to quit. I don't know what, a couple of the others were mine in the trial that probably not the same class that she's got, but she did, she won it quite nicely. So I'm really happy that she's come up, and she's definitely a lot stronger than she was in the spring.
Absolutely. You come up from the south and you come up against these northern horses, and you'd expect to be drawing wide, but they've played it kind on you. You've got a pretty cosy barrier draw to start from as well.
Yeah, that was a refreshing moment having a look at my phone to see that the barrier draw definitely helps a hell of a lot. Obviously got a lot of respect for a lot of horses in the race. It's a really strong field, and Walker's team's obviously really hard to beat. I mean, that's a pretty sharp filly too. So yeah, we're happy with our fillies, so fingers crossed.
What do you do from there? Have you had a chance to assess tactics?
Not really. I think there'd be a fair amount of speed in it, but I think from such a good gate, would be silly to drop her back. So I'd imagine we'll be telling Ryan to be positive early and take a spot, hopefully just behind the speed. Just
tell us about that booking, Ryan Elliott. How did that come about?
It wasn't easy. 55 kilos doesn't help. And yeah, look, Kylie's suspended, obviously, but yeah, we just sort of went down the premiership and started at the top and worked our way down.
Okay, just tell us a little bit as well, because there is that dynamic. Mark Walker with a heap of runners, and of course, back in the early days, it's where you basically cut your teeth in the north, at least in your racing career with Te Akau under Mark Walker. Have I got that right?
Yeah, 100%. Look, I developed a massive amount of respect for Mark Walker and the Te Akau team, and yeah, I spent 10 years there back early in the camp with some pretty smart horses, so I have a lot of respect for them. Okay, yeah, just tell us what you're expecting on Saturday from your filly. Yeah, look, I think she's probably more forward than she's been going to the first up run, but she's going to have to be. It's a really sharp field, and I think there's a lot of different form lines, so hard to get a line on it. But really happy with my filly, and look, if she's in top 4 or 5, I'd be super. Absolutely,
yeah. What do you do with her safely through this run, Andrew?
Well, that will be up for discussion after Saturday. I'll be honest, this is my prime target is to get into this race, and everything's gone to plan so far. There's obviously another race, fillies and Meds race at Rotorua in a couple of weeks, or she could be on a plane to Queensland, or she could be coming home. So we'll cross that after Saturday.
Okay, let's hope it's one of the latter, because she's such an exciting filly, and great to have her participation in the north. Andrew Carston joining us here on The Form to discuss Art de Triomphe in Saturday's Group 3 Cambridge Breeders' Stakes. Wrap a look ahead with us now on The Form, and we head to Tony Pike's stable out of Cambridge. And Tony, 5 key runners into the meeting. We'll kick off in race 1 with 007, who was good last time out. I thought there was a bit of quality about this one. How did you assess it, and how's he come through it?
He's a horse we've always had a fair bit of time for. Probably still a little bit immature mentally. Just took a couple of runs to really work things out. But Leith was quite impressed with him at Counties. He put a good space in them, and I think the penny's starting to drop now. Obviously, it's a step up in class to an open 3-year-old race, but he looks a progressive horse, and I think from that gate he's drawn to land near the speed and should be hard to run down again.
He just got into a really nice spot at Pukekohe this day. Leith produced him at the right time, but in the end he's run away from them. But there was just a real touch of class around it, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's a lovely looking horse, and look, he's going to be better even next season. But yeah, I think just putting a good space in them and really working through the line, I think the pennies start to drop, and yeah, he's a really nice horse going forward.
Okay, safely through this one. What's in store for him?
Oh, look, we're probably running out of options, obviously, heading into the early part of the winter. We'll just get through Saturday's race, but as I've said, he's still a little bit immature, and I think, probably a nice break after this. He could progress through some nice races later on as a 4-year-old. On
what we saw at Pukekohe, though, he's got to be competitive in this, doesn't he, Tony?
Yeah, you think so. It's a nice field. I think Marsh's Stevens horse goes well. It's a nice field, but there's obviously no star 3-year-olds in it, so you'd expect him to be very competitive.
Absolutely. Moving on to the second Open Company, and it's a bit of a test here for Dawn Parade. You come in nicely, however, at the weights. What about the first up run? Have you noticed improvement from that?
Yeah, very much so. He was probably a bit unlucky in his first up run. Michael said he was about to sort of dive through a very narrow gap and copped a couple of hits over the head with a stick from Trudy, I think, and sort of resented that and pretty much eased out of the race after that. So I think it was a lot better first up run than the placing suggests. Difficult horse to place, as you say, being a rating 74 horse. He's top of the weights in a rating 74, and it's the first time he's going to carry a really nice lightweight for a fair length of time. So his work through the week's been encouraging, and he's strong to get a lovely trip behind what's going to be a pretty solid speed with TIGHTLIGN in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. From what we've seen in them, he's got a terrific wind strike rate as well. From that sort of place in the weights, what can we expect from him?
Look, I think he's going to be competitive based on his work. I think with the 53 kilos, he's probably going to map to be sort of 3 back the fence. He might need a little bit of luck in the running just to get clear air, but if he does, I think he'll be going pretty close on Saturday. Okay,
and what about for him? What's in store sort of safely through this one?
He's a horse that doesn't mind some given the ground, so he'll just progress his way through the open handicap races through the winter. He has won on a very heavy track before as well, so we'll just take him through the open handicap races, and we'll just see how he progresses. Hopefully, even something like a Winter Cup maybe later on in the season down at Riccarton.
Okay, like that. Move on to the third, and the Statesman's a horse who's obviously shown ability so far. Early in the career, what can we expect here?
Yeah, he's a bit of a work in progress. He's trialled up really well. Everyone that's ridden him has really liked the horse. I think he's going to develop into a pretty promising 3-year-old. Just a bit of an awkward gate 7. If he can jump cleanly and get across without doing too much work, he may still be a touch new in the run, but he's definitely got the ability to go close first up.
You do have to take on sort of a horse like Lord Cosmos, for example, who's a race winner. How can you match up?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, first starters against experienced 2-year-olds, it's never easy. I think he'll be very competitive, but we'll take a lot of improvement out of the race as well. Okay, good yid. And is he, obviously, the couple of stakes races coming up, is he a possible for races like those? Yeah, look, the 1400 metre race at Pukekohe, I think, looks ideal. He's a horse that I think 1400 will really suit as a 2-year-old. We'll just get through Saturday's race first. You'd obviously have to be competitive Saturday before we consider that, but if he happened to run very well on Saturday, then that's a definite option while the tracks are still reasonable. Okay, good as gold. Move you on to the last, or in fact, we've got like a model in that race too, don't you? Just give us a word on this one first. Yeah, she's going to make a really nice staying filly later on. She is a filly we would love to have got up and trip already, but obviously there hasn't been any options around for her. She'll take a lot of improvement from that first up run at Ruakaka. She probably can't win from the draw on Saturday. She'll have to go back, and she'll work home nicely late, and she's definitely a filly that you can follow with confidence once she gets up over a bit further, which may have to be into a 3-year-old season. Okay, because she trialled up leading into this too, and obviously the form out of this race seems to have stacked up okay with Smart and Sharp. Yeah, exactly. I think it was a better race than it looked on paper at Ruakaka, and she's a pretty laid-back filly, and I think the blinkers going on Saturday will really help as well. Okay, and to Rokanono, really looking forward to seeing this one in action on Saturday. What about, it is obviously a step up, but what can we expect here? Yeah, really disappointing run last start, but Ashwin was convinced it was just the kickback on the track. He really resented it, and some horses can the first time at Te Rapa. He's normally such a genuine horse, and obviously he trialled really well leading into that, and his work had been great. It was a bit of a surprise. So he's drawn a bit better today. On Saturday will be a lot more positive from the gate if he could, hopefully land outside the leader with foot blinkers on, and if he can keep away from that kickback and just handle the track a bit better on Saturday. Then, not saying he's a winning chance, but he's such a genuine racehorse. It would surprised me to see him thereabouts.
Okay, from a club point of view, I know you've been involved with the Cambridge Jockey Club. You'd be thrilled with the way the quality of this race has come up. Yeah,
it's always a great race. It's one of the last sprinting sort of 3-year-old stakes races around. It's been a quality field for a number of years. So, it's a great race for the club to have, and it's always been very well supported.
Okay, where does Rockanono fit in? Do you think you're a winning chance in it?
Oh, look, I would have liked to have said so until his last run, but look, he's obviously going to improve a lot off that. I do think it was the track that day. If he can get across outside the leader, I don't think he's probably a winning chance. It's such a strong race, but if he can get a soft trip, I wouldn't be surprised to see him right around the placings anyway. Okay,
of the team heading to Te Rapa, Tony, who's the pick of them?
I really like 007. I think he's just a nice progressive 3-year-old, and he's going to take plenty of confidence out of that last start win. I think he can go on with it.
Okay, in the past, you've normally been keen to get to Brisbane for a winter campaign with the team. It sounds like you might have a few numbers stacking up for the trip this year.
Yeah, there's a few heading over tomorrow morning, Aidan. I think the plane leaves at 10 o'clock, so there's going to be 8 of ours, and just going to be the caretaker trainer for Babylon Berlin and Ruark, and Let's Be Glam as well. So the team will have 11 horses over there, which will keep them busy, but really nice to get back on Australian soil. That carnival's, it's been very kind to us over the years, and it'll be super to get back there this year.
Okay, I've spoken to Ben Food, and he's sort of aiming Rough Habit, potentially Queensland Derby for Ruark, and there's a couple of good fillies and mares races as well, and potentially a straight boat for Babylon Berlin. What about for your team? Who's in there, and what sort of races can you target?
We're going to take three 2-year-olds over, Rudyard, DiMaggio, and Slipper Island, or progressive 2-year-olds. There's a lot of nice 2-year-old races for them over there. Prize money could be an issue just with 1 or 2 of them early in the carnival, but look, if he gets a run, we'd like to kick Rudyard off in the Ken Russell at the Gold Coast Saturday week. DiMaggio, he'll head to a race called the Sacred Elixir Handicap. It's a race, obviously, he won on his way to the JJ Atkins and the Sires. That's at the Sunshine Coast on the 15th, and Slipper Island will probably run the Champagne Stakes. But even outside of those 3 races is a really nice lineup of 2-year-old races, especially up and trip a wee bit over the carnival, which will really suit a couple of them. Tutakaka obviously is setting over for the Rough Habit and the Derby. There you go, he's trialled up really well here. She'll kick off in the 3-year-old 1350 race at Doomben on the 14th, and then possibly progress through the Fred Best Classic. What else have we got? Not Guilty. She's missed a start on Saturday, so we're going to put her on the plane. Just progress through the grades, and then hopefully have a crack at something a bit better towards the tail end of the carnival. And Kufu's also going to go over. Obviously, his 3-year-old form here was quite good, and he's just going to get in nicely at the ratings. So, a nice team, and looking forward to it. Yeah,
I bet you are. Do you get a chance to get over as well yourself?
Yeah, look, I'll probably head over next Wednesday or Thursday. Team will obviously have a fair few quiet days before it starts ramping up. We'll head to the races next weekend and possibly stay through the week and come home the following.
Yeah, we got to track work on Tuesday and saw a couple of your staff members, and there was a bit of pushing and shoving and jibes about who was getting to go. I understand Chris McNabb will be the man who'll be looking after your team basically for the duration over there. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep. No, Chris is definitely an Australian man. He loves it over there. So him and Boss Stoney used to head off on their trips together, and I think they both improved 6 lengths as soon as they hit Aussie soil. So no, I don't think there was any show without punch. He was definitely always on the trip. So we've got 3 other good staff members over there as well. So the BAC's been kind enough to give us boxes at Eagle Farm, which is a training track we know very well, and obviously very central. So everything's starting to fall into place.
Yeah, exactly, and great to have someone of Chris's experience and his horsemanship to be able to be there as a constant through that period.
Oh yeah, for sure. Look, he's travelled a lot with our horses now, and obviously a very experienced trainer and horseman in his own right. And we've got a really good sort of infrastructure base there now with farriers we know well, and vets and all the associated bits and pieces. So it's a pretty smooth operation now when we do travel.
Okay, really appreciate your time here on the form, Tony. Best of luck for the weekend, and best of luck for that Queensland trip. of a Central Districts flavour to the form as well, because Alan Sharrock joins us. But Alan, it's not just confined to your region. You're venturing north with SINARAHMA. Of course, the Cuddle Stakes winner heading into the Group 2 Travis Stakes. How is she for this one?
Yeah, Emma worked her this morning and she was very positive, probably as good as she's worked all season. It's going to be the last race, Aidan, and, you know, I think Two Illicit's got to run into a brick wall to be beaten, but racing's a funny old game, mate. I've got her in as good a form as I can, so yeah, it'd be nice to get some of it and hopefully go out a winner, but as I say, Two Illicit's going to take a lot of beating, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. But one thing about SINARAHMA, we know she's got the quality, she's in really good form, and she doesn't seem to be sort of mixing it up a little bit, missing those starts and things so much now. She seems a really professional on her game. Is that fair?
Yeah, she's had the medication for her back and recently had it, so she's probably going to be at her best, Aidan, on Saturday. Yeah, and like you say, the missing the barriers by 10 lengths and running second to Melody Bow, those days are gone, thankfully. There was a bit of anxiety for us all.
Yeah, absolutely. That 1 or 2 Breeder Stakes, you came up against Charm Star, who's a rival again today. Just how does that form sort of equate into this one, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think Charm Star's one of the hardest to beat. I think if I'd got an outside run, it would have been a lot closer. I was pleased with my mare's run. And Janelle's mare, they're probably the 4 quality mares. It's got a tail to the race. But as you know, racing's never that easy, mate. So let's see how we go.
It's a decent old central contingent coming up, and they'll all be hard to beat. Just tell us about rider-wise. You've picked up Matthew Cameron. How did that come about?
Well, Matt won the RAPA Breeders' Stakes on her, and I actually tried to get him. Well, I thought I had him for the Cuddle Stakes, but I was talking to Matt, not the agent, so we didn't end up in the Cuddle Stakes with Matt. We ended up with Lisa, and Lisa's obviously got a full book at Wanganui, so I was quite happy to have Matt back on. He knows the fillies, so that's all good.
Okay, yeah, obviously respect around those rivals, but from her, what can we expect in this last one for the prep?
Oh, I'd be disappointed if she didn't run top 3, Aidan. She's worked real good. Distance suits, track will be good. So, yeah, great to tick the end of her career off with a win. But as I say, running into Two Illicit, it's going to be tough.
Okay, you've got 4 at Wanganui Saturday as well. Which way do you go? Do you go north or south?
Me and Emma are going north, and yeah, we might spend the night with Butch Castle. So, be an interesting night.
Gee, yeah. That could be dangerous, couldn't it? Jeez. Anyhow, let's concentrate on the Wanganui team. Just Ask Me in race 5. We know the qualities there. A horse who was in terrific form all last winter, but even getting into the spring, he showed real quality in some good races, Helen.
Yeah, but he's sort of he's a 100 raider. He's better on wet ground. I think probably his main target at this stage, the Agri Challenge, the Weight for Age Mile at Wanganui in 6 weeks. He'll need 2 fitting runs to be anywhere near ready for that. So I can't see him featuring on Saturday.
Okay, yeah, what is his program? Because obviously you'll be targeting the richer races, and I guess probably looking to be in Weight for Age as much as you can.
Yeah, well, with that rating, he hasn't got a lot of options. So he's an off-track horse. But when you get that far up in the weights, unless you can find a suitable full claim, you've got to look for those Weight for Age races. So we'll just play it by ear, mate, going forward. Let's tick the one off at Wanganui possibly and then reassess from there. Okay,
race 6, you've got Tab Attack. What can you tell us about him?
Going super. His last 2 wins, the sectional's been great. He's got a shoddy draw. I've elected to take 3 off, but his next start will be in the James Bill Rangatiki Mile. Hopefully Lisa and Press can do the job for us there on the minimum, and then he'll be put aside for probably a couple of months. He's going to be a very, very nice horse next year.
He's always shown that, hasn't he? And really started to put it together with his last couple. Opting for the claim again this time round, it just takes that big weight off his back.
Yeah, well, 60.5. It's getting up a wee bit. I actually thought that we'd get 61.5 for the COVID rulings, but they've dropped those back off, and we're back to a 60 maximum. It's still a lot of weight, Aidan. And the girl Nichols, she rides well. Yeah. And you know, 13 draws a bit shoddy, but in saying that, he's better horse ridden a little bit cold early. He'll come around them when he's ready to come into the race.
Okay, move you on to race 7 with our Hail Mary, and obviously she's The ability's there without question. What about this one? What can we expect of her?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. We're just throwing a ball at the stumps, really. We just want to see where we are. At least at the opinion, as I am, that possibly she wants to be a mum, and she could visit ZIEGFELD in the spring. She's done a good job, and she's won a Martin Cup and a Trentham Stakes, and she's out of a full system. She's sensational, so she doesn't have to prove a lot more. I just would like to see her find some form. If she did run reasonably well, there's the Rotorua Cup in 2 weeks, but she's a bit like SINARAHMA. It's nearly all over for her, so we'll just assess it after Saturday.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense to me. And on to the last there with Just Fix It, Would You? A horse who was in really good form probably up until that last start run. What went wrong?
He tied up on the Monday. I think his buds were all wrong. Forget the run completely. I'd be very disappointed if he did that again to us on Saturday. So I just tell punters to disregard his last run. He's gone back to being paddock trained. He seems a happy horse. We haven't done a lot with him. He's as fit as he can be. So we'll assess that one after Saturday as well.
Okay, I'll lock in that as well. Let's go through the 5 runners and pick out the best of them. Who do you reckon, Alan?
Well, it's a toss-up between Tavatek and SINARAHMA. As I say, I think Tavatek can possibly win again. And SINARAHMA, if it went really well for us and really bad for ILLICIT, she may get up.
Okay, we're coming to the end of domestic season. Anything with an eye to Brisbane out of the Sharrock stable? You haven't thought about a trip to warmer climates?
No, if we do, it'll be me and Emma. But no, we got some nice horses and some nice young horses, and probably enough to keep us going through the better racing in the winter. But you know, there's horses like Ladies Man of a light autumn campaign. I think he's a very, very good horse.
Not a jumper in the stable?
No, I love the jumpers, but I haven't got one. No.
Okay. Good as gold. I really appreciate you giving us time, and I know you're busy today, Alan, as well. Best of luck for those in the weekend, and especially with a chance at a Group 2 with the Travis Stakes runner in Sydney. Another massive night of harness racing coming through from Alexandra Park. On the form, we've got Craig Thompson in to discuss the 2 Group 1s. And Craig, we're going to kick off with the Pacers and the Dawson Harford New Zealand Messenger. And like the Noel Taylor Mile, this is now open for all ages. And we've got another really good race in front of us. So good day to you. Yeah,
lovely to join you on the form, Aidan. Yes, of course, it is a free-for-all now. Of course, a change of conditions of the race. And if we didn't, Aidan, we wouldn't have got a field. So a bit like the Taylor Mile last week, we've got 10 runners, and we've got in a couple of additions too, Aidan, with the likes of Better, Twist and Kango that weren't there last week. The market says Self-Assured. I think he's the best of the night. He was unbelievable last week, Aidan. We said on the show last week he was vulnerable, as was Sunday Sun over a mile where they drew. But what unfolded was he ended up being pushed 4 wide at the 800-metre mark and got back 1 off down the back. And as we bring them home here, Spankham is in front, Cranbourne's to his outside, Hot and Treacherous Ducks to the inside, and Self-Assured paced his last mile in 1:52 and basically was never on the track. He was 5 wider coming across the top, and look at him just keep closing in and closing in. Now, in the hands of Tony Hurley, who actually won this race, Aidan, back in 2014. So that's a fair while ago. So back 2008 it was, 14 years ago, and with a horse called Gotta Go Cullen, he reunites with, of course, Self-Assured with Mark Purdon on the sideline. He knows the horse, got a lovely draw. I don't think he'll be in the early burn. I think he'll stay out of it. A lot of gate speed, McDan, and of course Spankham, who led the Taylor Mile. I think he'll just sit 1 off and he'll move mid-stages. And the bookmakers actually put up $1.65 earlier. That is gone. I thought he was the best of the night. And if you like your gallopers on Saturday, Aidan, he is a multi-anchor. I think probably the dangers around him. Well, Spankham was good last week, and if he gets across him again this week, he'll be a first-world player. Probably like him more in his older age in the shorter distance races, but of course he did win this race a few years ago. And I thought Cranbourne, the southerner, he was great first up at the park last week. He's a big improvement. He loves a dog fight. 2,700 metres, stays like your mother-in-law. So he's one that you certainly want to put in your top 4s.
on what we saw last week, it was so competitive, Craig, especially, you know, there were 4 of them basically in the fight. Is it going to be like that again, or are we going to see a little bit more of an order sort of coming to fruition?
Well, I think normal transmission will resume this week, Aidan. I think the barrier draw over mile plays a big part. And last week, Self-Assured had no option. He had to go back and he had to rely on luck, and there was no luck. This week, he's got barrier 2. It's a longer trip, a bit like the race, Aidan, Thursday week ago, where he could sit back, he could let things unfold, he could work into the race and get to the point outside the leader at the bell where he could control the race. Now, I don't think he'll be outside the leader at the bell. I probably think he'll probably be in front, or probably one off, one back. And either way, he's the horse to beat. What I loved about him, Aidan, was when he went through the birdcage last week, had a really good look at him. I had Mark Purdon standing beside me. And what happened was he was just bouncing around. So he'd come off a $900,000 race at Cambridge on Thursday, came into Taylor Mile 8 days later and looked like he hadn't had a run, and he performed like that. So racing at the moment is not worrying him. He's in the zone, and he's probably racing in the best career form that I've seen him in probably the last 3 years.
I was going to ask you, because he has been so busy, is that maybe make him, you know, is that some sort of vulnerability with him this weekend, or do you think he is handling it so well?
Well, I think he's just handling it so well. I mean, I think he's had 5 runs in the North since the Cup Carnival, and he loves being at Alexandra Park. I don't know why at the moment. Maybe it's his surroundings, maybe it's Mark being up here all the time with him, but he just seems to be in the zone. And as I said, I don't think I've seen a better version than Self-Assured as what I've seen in the last 3 weeks.
It was great having you on track last week. Are you back there this week as well?
Yeah,
Craig?
really looking forward to being there on Friday, Aidan, and again trying to catch up with the major players. We caught up with Cam Hart, Mark Purdon. We talked to Ben Hope about AG's White Sox, who initially I thought was really good off his run last week. He actually ran home in great sectionals. I mean, Spankham was good off the front. He was pretty quick, but the 2 sectionals out of that race, AG's White Sox ran home in 53.6, which was the fastest last half, and Self-Assured ran home in 53.9. They both had interrupted runs from about the 1,000-metre mark, so they both went really well, Aidan. They're going really well, these 2 horses.
Okay, yeah, one race beforehand, Craig, is the trot, the Peterborough Memorial 2022 National Trot, and just a small field of 6, but we've got real quality here. Sunday Sun up against Muscle Mountain, up against Bolt for Brilliance. How are you assessing this one?
Well, it's an interesting concept, because when you look at it, you think, well, the longer trip, this will be Sunday Sun's go, and any other barrier draw than one, Aidan, I think he would be an absolute good thing. Now, he's 170 into 160. My biggest concern about this draw for him is him getting crossed at the start. Now, he did get crossed 2 starts ago, and he came back round and led at Addington, and he was too good for them. If he gets crossed, the times that he gets beaten is when the 2 good horses gets in front of him, and I'm talking about Muscle Mountain and Bolt for Brilliance. Muscle Mountain did it last season in the Group 1, and then he did it again this week in the mile, where you can see Sunday Sun trying to get onto his back. Muscle Mountain kept that gap in front of Sunday Sun, and Sunday Sun couldn't close on it. Now, Bolt for Brilliance is a little bit the same, Aidan. When they lined up in the Lyell Creek over 2,200 metres, and Bolt for Brilliance found the front, and Sunday Sun couldn't get it off him, that's when he's a little bit vulnerable. I think the barrier 1 draw is not the draw they wanted, because I do think Temporale, who led in that Taylor Mile, end up running 3rd, may get across him at the start. There is a little bit of a school of thought that if Muscle Mountain or Bolt for Brilliance gets in front of him, maybe the $1.60 isn't a great price for him. He's the best horse here. He's the best stayer. He's probably the best trotter in Australasia, but he is vulnerable from barrier number 1. And I do think Bolt for Brilliance didn't have a run last week. He's coming in here relatively fresh. If I was to tip something to beat Sunday Sun, I like Bolt for Brilliance this week. He beat him in the Lyell Creek here on the 31st of December with a similar type of run going forward. If he got outside Temporale off the gate and could hold Sunday Sun in a pocket, it would make for an interesting race. So very much dependent on what price you want to take. Sunday Sun's at $1.70, Bolt for Brilliance $6. I reckon he'll get out. He could get out to $8 or $9, and then he becomes attractive.
One thing we saw from that video is Temporale's gate speed. So you know that horse is going to go forward. Is there a chance that maybe just over the longer trip with less pressure that we might see an improved running, that horse really does sort of, you know, get deeper into this race and be competitive?
He's just a wonderful horse. When we talk about true versatile grinding old horses. Temporale falls into that category. He's a multiple Group 1 winner. He's been to Australia. He's back in New Zealand. Last week's run was incredible, really, because limited preparation heading into the park. He shot round the outside. He found the front. He was beaten by probably the two best horses going round at the moment, Muscle Mountain and, of course, Sunday Sun. You take them out of the race, he's a big player. But he's not as good as Bolt for Brilliance. He's not as good as Muscle Mountain. And unfortunately, he's not as good as Sunday Sun. That's why he was in Australia, Aidan, to duck these three good horses. He's back now and he's running against them. Great gate speed will always put him in play. Put it 1700 at Cambridge? Absolutely. A mile at Auckland? Absolutely. 2700? Probably a little bit vulnerable.
Okay, it'd be good to see him up against these, and he's probably an improver off that run as well. We know that you're tipping the value in the race, but who are you going to put on top in selections? Is that still Sunday Sun?
Well, I think he is. I think he's the best horse here. I do think it depends on what price you can get as we record Thursday morning. I think the prices will change around a bit, very much like they did last week, Aidan, when Muscle Mountain went $3.50 into $1.40 and Spankin went $5.50 into $3. The market will move in the next 24 hours. I do think Sunday Sun will come in, just with the 2,700 and the wealth of money coming from over that longer trip. But if Bolt for Brilliance, top two market, got out to say 8 in that $3 mark for top two, I think he's probably the each way play.
Okay, Craig, we've spoken about both those two Group 1s. Is there something else on the card that you might want to steer the form viewers into? I
think there's a rating special there, Aidan, on Friday night. A horse called Special Way. I really like him. He falls into a loose grade trot earlier on in the program. And he's been to the workouts last week and he absolutely smashed them off 50 metres. Now, young Crystal Hackett, who drives for Michelle and Bernie, drives this race. If you put a junior driver on as penalty free, he's about 6 points higher rated than anything in that race. And it's a mobile trot. I just thought he fell into the race beautifully. So really like Special Way. If you don't want to take the shorts about Sunday Sun later in the program, I thought he was probably the next best on the night.
Okay, looking forward to that. That's race 4 at Alexandra Park. And Craig Thompson, he'll be on track for us as well on trackside. It was fantastic watching the coverage last week, Craig, and we're really looking forward to you being part of a dual Group 1 day again on Friday night.
Yeah, thanks, Aidan. To the viewers out there, have a good punting weekend and hope you can find a win.